Hello everyone, we are back with our Commander Spotlight, and today we are spotlighting our Dimir Commander, Satoru Umezawa. For 1 blue-black, you get a legendary creature, Human Ninja, power 2, toughness 4, with whenever you activate a ninjutsu ability, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. It triggers only once each turn, and each creature card in your hand has ninjutsu for 2, a blue and a black. So the purpose of this deck is to get in with your ninjas and steal your opponent's things. So we have quite a few creatures that have some type of evasion or to discourage your opponents from blocking. Dreadshade gets bigger, so if they block, you can pay into that ability to make it stronger. Invisible Stalker has hexproof, can't be blocked. Fathom Witch has Fear. Fear is it can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or black creatures. And each unblocked creature has base power toughness 4/1. So it makes it and any other creature that's not blocked bigger. Got a Skulker, can be blocked by creatures with greater power, and a little lifelink. Phantom Ninja. So we have a few evasion, or some evasion. Rankle not only has evasion, also has haste, and it can disrupt your opponent by discarding cards. It also gives us some card draw and also allows us to get people to sacrifice. Another unblockable. Shadow can only be blocked by creatures with shadow. And when it deals combat damage, you draw a card and discard a card, so we have some draw. As your Beastbinder, this is one of my I don't want to say favorite cards. I like it because what it can do is that when it attacks, you can actually make one artifact creature or planeswalker an opponent controls lose all abilities until next turn. And then if it's a creature, becomes a 2/2, so it can't block this one. It's a good way to stop planeswalkers. Can't block and can block. And you can cast it from your graveyard as long as you control the green or black permanent. And we have black in here, so. Ghostly Perforer, you can discard a card to make it unblockable, and when it becomes tapped, you can pay 2 to draw a card. When an opponent casts a spell from anywhere other than their hand, you draw a card. Siren, this is in here because we don't have a lot of flyers, and then when it becomes untapped, it also makes your opponent discard, and then puts it top, and then mill 1. Another unblockable flyer with Death Touch. When it enters, you draw a card. So we have quite a few flyers, Death Touchers. This also does what we like. We take the thing from the opponent. So when we hit them for damage, we're going to be stealing stuff. One of the ways is, see if I can find them, through our ninjutsu ability. So whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a token, and then you manifest the top of their library. Another ninjutsu, exile the top 2 cards of their library, and you may play those without paying their mana cost. This Thieving Skydiver will steal artifacts on the field. When this deals damage, look at their hand. You may cast a non-land card for free. Agent of Treachery just enters and steals things. Gonti, when it enters, you look at the top 4 cards of target opponent's library, exile 1 face down, put the rest on the bottom of the library in any order. You may cast that card as long as it remains exiled. Zareth, when it deals damage, you may put a permanent card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield. And another Gonti. This is when you play a spell. When you cast a spell you don't own, you make a treasure. So it incentivizes you. It also incentivizes other people, because when a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller looks at the top card of that opponent's library and exiles it face down. So it incentivizes everyone else to do the same thing that you're doing. And Thief of Sanity. This was one of my favorite cards during the Guild of Ravnica set. I pulled a few of these, and this was my actual standard deck that I use this in. Opposition Agent. This is a game changer. And then Notion Thief as well. Whenever your opponent tries to do something, you do it instead. So if an opponent searches their library, you exile each card they find, and then you play them. And then the bottom one, Notion Thief, is that if an opponent would draw a card except the first one they draw, they don't draw it, and you draw the card. We're back to our ninjas. We also have a few other ways to steal their things. Rogue class. Whenever a creature you control deals damage to a player, you exile the top card of the library face down. You can look at it. If you get all the way to level 3, you can play those cards. Covetous Urge. You choose a card from the opponent's hand, exile it, and you can cast it as long as it's exiled. And Ghastly Conscription. Exile all creature cards from target player's graveyard in a face-down pile. Shuffle the pile, then manifest those cards. So I do like taking other people's things, which is a theme in my decks. And then Mnemonic Betrayal. Exile all cards from all opponents' graveyards. You may cast them this turn. The second way to win in this deck is through milling our opponents. We have quite a few cards that mill. Fractured Sanity, Maddening Cacophony, Balustrade Spy, Thieves Guild Enforcer, and Fennex, God of Deception, which gives all our creatures the ability to mill our opponents. I'm thinking about adding Tasha's Hideous Laughter, but that might just be a little too mean. We have a few protection spells. Nope, that's a card draw. Where is our protection? Don't have a lot of protection here. We have a lot of unblockable creatures, so the only target that they're going to have will be removal. Barrel Blade, it makes an opponent's creature lose all abilities if it's blocked. Portal of Sanctuary, this allows us to bring back our ninjutsu creature so we can ninjutsu them again. Same thing with Grazilex, if one of them gets blocked, you return to your hand, and this also has a card draw in it. Speaking of card draw, we have a few cards. Mask of Vittles, Anowan, the Ruin Thief. When one or more rogues you control deal combat damage to the player, they mill for each 1 damage dealt, and then if a creature was milled this way, you draw a card. And Yuriko, another game changer. Whenever a ninja you control deals combat damage to a player, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. Each opponent loses life equal to that card's converted mana cost. You can run this as your commander. It has Commander Ninjutsu for 2, or a blue and a black. However, I like Satoru Umezawa. And then Sig, River Cutthroat. At each end step, if an opponent lost 3 or more life this turn, you draw a card. I have a bit of card draw. We also do have some token makers, or not token makers, copies. Stolen Identity, Dimir Doppelganger. We got Lays Off, who can turn into a creature when it enters the graveyard, an opponent's graveyard from anywhere. So if you mill, which is why we have quite a bit of mill, if you mill one of your opponent's big creatures, you can have him turn into a copy of it, or you can use the multifarious Lays Off, and it becomes a copy of a target creature in your graveyard with converted mana cost X. Wall of Stolen Identity, it becomes a copy of any creature on the battlefield. When you do tap the copied creature, and it doesn't untap as long as you control Wall of Stolen Identity. It doesn't untap during the untap step. So you make a copy of their strong creature, tap it down, and they can't use it. Vizier of Many Faces also copies any creature on the battlefield, and it has Embalm, so it can come back as a zombie once it eventually dies. And a couple other cards in here. So we have Notorious Throng, gives us more rogues, and also an extra turn if you pay its prowl cost. Some removal, Poison the Cup. Some disruption with Didn't Say Please, also mills. Overwhelming Denial, Soul Manipulation, and Psychic Strike. I'm sure we can add some more disruption in here, but I don't make decks to make them as strong as they can be. I make them with the cards that I have in my collection, so they're not always going to be the strongest. And we have Kaito Shizuki, the ninja from, I want to say Kamigawa, the Neon Dynasty set. What do you think of this ninja rogue deck that wants to get in stealthily and steal your opponent's stuff? What would you add? What would you take out? Would you even build Satoru Umezawa, or would you use Yuriko as the commander? Click the playlist where we have more Commander Spotlight videos. We have quite a few. We got more coming up. We still have 4 of the 2 color commanders left. We have Gruul right here, Golgari, Simic, and Rakdos. So which one would you like to see next? Please like, follow, subscribe. Thanks for watching.